right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. It's time now for State of the Nation. We talk about matters, politics, and everything in between there. My guests are already with me in studio. Honorable Cleophas Malala, Secretary General, UDA. Thank you so much for making time. Honorable Dan Manzo, Deputy Secretary General, Wiper. Asante sana for making time. And Honorable Samuel Atandi, Member of Parliament for Lego Songa. Thank you so much for making time. Let's start off with the dailies. Front page, Raila's D-Day. Face off, Azimio leader Raila Odinga's 14-day ultimatum to President William Ruto to open poll servers and address the high cost of living lapsed yesterday, with the opposition chief threatening mass action and civil disobedience should his demands not be met. The president has called his bluff, saying he won't be intimidated. So who will blink first? That is a question everybody's asking. And Atandi, I'll start with you on this one. Everyone is curious. So what happens today?
Trevor, thank you very much for, again, inviting me to this show. And Trevor, even before we go there, why don't we begin by discussing the Damascus transformation of Senator Malala? You know, Malala, you know, is my ally, was my ally when we were in Azimio, when we were in NASA. And I think in just 1 week, you can even see his colors. You know, not allowed to dress blue or any other color. But also, Trevor, you know, in a discussion like this, I think it's always fair to start with these usurpers of state power, you know, because they're the ones who should begin by giving us a foundation for this discussion. When you start with people fighting for a revolution like me, then you know you're putting me in a corner. So I think I want to argue that in future, we need to start with Senator Malala, you know, so that they can give us a foundation. They're the ones who are holding the instruments of state. And this conversation is about state of the nation.
Because you gave 14 days ultimatum, it lapsed yesterday.
It's about state of the nation. Now? Anyway, let me say, Trevor, that we are engaged in consultations with Kenyans, and we've been doing this for some time now. You know, almost two or 3 months, we've been talking to Kenyans. So basically, our actions are dictated by the demands of Kenyans. And we have been listening to Kenyans, and we continue to listen to Kenyans. As you are aware, we have planned activities throughout this weekend. But today, I think our principals are going to make an announcement about where we are heading. And I don't think I think it's premature for you to expect me to explain what my principals have already said they're going to talk about in the course of the day. Okay. Yes.
Let's bring in Malala on this. Malala, and allow you to respond to what he said, your Damascus transformation, that's what he calls it.
Yeah.
Before we get into these substantive issues.
I think Atandi should live with the fact that this is my new me. And you should just appreciate me the way I am. I am now Malala the yellow man. And this is my new life.
What changed, Malala?
Of course, things change. Just like any other person. Politics is a dynamic game, whereby it is not a static engagement. Most of the people, and I'm sure everybody was in Kanu, moved to ODM Kenya, like Maanzo one day had a certificate of ODM Kenya in his pocket. Now he's Wiper. We were one day in One Kenya Alliance. So it is always a moving target. And personally, you know, any politician aspires, when he gets into a political party, he aspires to take over government. Now that it is certain that we have a government whose political party is UDA, so what else will you be doing in these other parties? So I think my mind is set. I aspired to be in government, and the ruling party is UDA. That is why I made up that decision, to be in the ruling party, the party which is mandated to bring about development in this country. And it's going to be stupidity for you to be somewhere else, knowing that this is where the political direction we are taking a political direction that is going to ensure that we develop this country. So my being in UDA and not in any other party is just a normal transformation of a normal politician, a normal leader who aspires to be in government, and there is nothing wrong with that.
But people say it is where your bread is buttered. It's not about...
Not really. It's where...
Any principle. It's just
it is true. Politics is about interest. And we get into politics to represent our people. So we are not like the blinded people in the opposition who, like, Atandi is like a proverbial tick which sticks to a cow which has already died, which has already been slaughtered, but it still thinks that the cow can benefit it. So what we are saying is, us is a matter of ensuring that our people benefit. How can our people benefit? Our people can only benefit if we are in government. We cannot benefit if we are doing mandamanos in the streets. We cannot benefit if you are always complaining about election results. Ours is to ensure that we are in government, to bring development to our people, to ensure that roads are done to our people, to ensure that livelihoods are improved for our people. We do not have time for mandamanos and things that do not add value for our people.
But you do know constitutionally this should be done regardless of which side of the political divide you stand.
But it's good to be on the table where resources are being divided, are being distributed. You cannot always be in mandamano. Like, for example, you've had my friend Sam. You've asked him a very simple question. What is your game plan? He has no clear plan on what next. They gave us the 14-day ultimatum thinking that they will come in with a handshake. This time around, we are telling them, come on, we have no business of handshakes. Ours is a focused agenda to bring about change in this country. The issue of opening of servers, we all know that it's not the role of the president to open servers. It is the role of IEBC to open servers. So if Sam Atandi and his friends want servers to be opened, let them go to the people who are mandated to be opening servers, who are IEBC. And you must go with them through the channels provided for in our constitution. They went through Supreme Court. We found out that all their allegations were hot air. Now, they have left what is provided for in the constitution. Now they want servers to be opened in the streets of Nairobi. Issues of addressing cost of living. We all know, we all appreciate that, yes, the cost of living is very high at the moment. Kenyans are struggling economically.
So on that,
but they did not start struggling yesterday. The cost of living was high even before we took over this government. You remember very well that a packet of 2 kg of unga was 230 shillings. 230 shillings during the tenure of the handshake. Now, the packet of unga has dropped down to 185 shillings. We have removed the subsidies. Remember, it was 230 shillings when they were they had subsidies. And therefore, we are saying that we have plans to ensure that we drop the cost of living. You know very well that we have had shortage of food commodities here because people had bought all the maize in the market, hoarded it so that they can influence the price of the commodities. But now what the president has done, he has imported metric tons of maize, rice, sugar, and general foodstuff to ensure that we bring in the deficit of the food shortage in the country. So in a month time, you shall be seeing the prices of foodstuff going down. You have seen the president is keen about reducing the price of farm inputs. We got this government when a bag of fertilizer was selling at 7,500. President William Ruto has now cut down that cost to 3,500. So these are some of the practical issues that our government is focused to deliver and not doing mandamanos.
Manzo, the government has called the bluff for the Azimio team. They said 14 days has lapsed, nothing has changed. What is the way forward then?
The election was highly contested, and you would call it a 50-50 situation, and the Kenyans, still believe in what they voted for. And although the Supreme Court made a judgment, one thing which was clear is that the servers were not opened. And after doing ethical hacking, it is clear that the current government is formed by people who do not deserve to form government. So that's very clear. And although they have formed it,
but Trevor, I just want to remind him, just to remind my good friend here, just a reminder You are a lawyer.
I was one of the lawyers in the Supreme Court.
And the Supreme Court
Trevor, you are spoiling the debate.
Let Manzo finish.
Trevor, you are spoiling the debate. You are spoiling the debate, Trevor.
For him to
yes.
Yeah, I just want to remind you so that...
No.
Let him finish.
Trevor, you are spoiling the debate.
Just write it down.
I was one of the lawyers in the Supreme Court, and I will tell you, what the courts look at is whether whatever wrongs were done in an election overturned the thinking of the people, or the will of the people. Yeah. And unfortunately, like what was called a hotel, and I was there and I looked through that, you know, there was a stream and a police station somewhere in the Rift Valley, near the border of Kisumu and the Rift province, a former province. And you know, in that one particular stream, which had 107 votes, Raila Odinga got 61, William Ruto got 109 on counting on ground. But the final results which were shown was Raila Odinga 1, William Ruto 169. So you would imagine that reduction. And that was repeated 4,000 times. But at the same time, the court still found that was not a serious electoral misnomer. So what I'm trying to tell Honorable Malala is that we know what happens in these elections, in the strongholds. After 5 o'clock, even dead people rise and vote and go, and especially the presidential vote. All the remaining ballot papers are slided into ballot boxes.
But we are here now.
Yes, we are already here. So what we are trying to say is that when the servers are opened and when they are hacked ethically, you have found out that the results are different. And though it's not a business of whoever formed government, Kenyans have a right to talk about it. You cannot stop Kenyans from coming together. You cannot stop them from talking about it. You cannot stop Kenyans from, following it and discussing it. Even if they are formed government now, a very noisy government, like one which was one time formed by President Trump. After 5 years, the people of America voted differently. So nothing stops Kenyans voters from voting differently after 5 years. I know Senator Malala's main activity is to wind up briefcase parties hanging around Kenya Kwanza, which I'm sure he's going to be perfect at. But I can assure him Simba Party Ford Kenya, he will not follow it up.
Okay.
He's also instructed to frustrate Mudavadi and his ANC. I can assure you, even if ANC is going to remain with Mudavadi alone, he's not going to wind it up. He may frustrate people like Chap Chap. He may frustrate other smaller briefcase parties. But I'm very sure Simba Party will not fall into this trap.
Okay.
And that spells doom for their future.
Okay, your time.
Trevor, yes. Senator Malala has accused me of lacking a plan. And I want to tell him that, first of all, in this debate, you know, Senator, my colleague Senator here, Maanzo is a lawyer. And, you know, I'm an economist. So I want to urge Malala to spend more time listening to us because we want to give him a lot of wisdom and knowledge. I know he has also just come from the street to this job. So, you know, he will need to take more time to learn and listen. So we are going to, don't be in a hurry, my brother. Now, there is no doubt that we have a plan. And let me just open it up. Trevor, we are going to scale up resistance. That's a fact. We are going to scale up resistance and pushbacks. We are going to push back strongly from today onwards. But I am speaking as a participant in the ongoing discussions on Kenya's transformation, political transformation. We are going to push back. So that is obviously true, and we are not going to come back. And you know, this conversation that we are interested in having a handshake. Handshake for what? We are not interested in a handshake, and you have said it. We don't need a. Why would you have a handshake with usurpers of power who do not know what to do with the power? So we are not going to. We are not asking for a handshake, and we are asking Kenyans to prepare for progressive and serious scaling up of resistance. That is one. Two, I've heard Senator Malala trying to justify what UDA government is doing in terms of addressing the cost of living. And you know, it is laughable that, you know, that somebody can come here and tell us that the cost of living is coming down. When here, you can see here that there's even the cost of electricity is going up by 10%. It is here. And you know what it means when the cost of power goes up, when the cost of fuel goes up? Because that is the engine for engine driving the cost of living. When the cost of power is going up, when the cost of fuel is going up, you can never discuss anything about lowering the cost of living. So we are dealing with people who are actually, I call them confused. They don't know what to do with power. So these problems we are facing as a country we are going to intensify these conversations. Ultimately, we believe and we know that Kenyans are going to resist and they are going to reject and remove President so-called Ruto government from power.
Yeah. This resistance you say might be met with counter-resistance. How will you then ensure that it is within the law? Because we saw a scaled-up level of security in all state institutions just yesterday. It's most likely going to be seen again today. How will you ensure that it is a peaceful demonstration?
The number of police officers in this country are less than 1 million. If you add the army and all these people, and the Kenyans who are resisting are about 20 million Kenyans are resisting.
Resisting what?
I don't think the number of security apparatus is capable of countering what Kenyans. And in any case, Trevor, what the questions we are asking about cost of living, even the police officers are buying unga expensively. They're also paying all these bills. I don't think the police officers we have in this country are going to be silly to the extent of being used to kill or to shoot at people fighting for their own welfare. I think Kenyans have not seen what is going to happen. And when we were here last time with the Honorable Koech, he said that Ruto is not a joke. The Ruto government, we are not a joke. We are not going to allow. But I asked him, you are not going to allow using what? Because you don't have Kenyans on your side. You can only run a legitimate government when you rally people behind you. But when you have already lost even the little people you had on your side because of lies, because of promises you gave which are fake, which you can't implement, you have no plan. You are still telling us about the problems that you found, yet you are elected to go and solve those problems. You have nobody behind you. Okay. So, Trevor, you watch this space, it's not going to be a joke. And we are very, very serious about what we are doing.
Okay, Malala.
I've been where he was, and I appreciate his thoughts, and I also appreciate his frustrations at the same time. First, I wanted to react on my good friend here. It is inscribed in the history and even in the annals of the Supreme Court that Azimio went to Supreme Court, made a specific application on the scrutiny, which was mandated to be carried out by the Registrar of the Supreme Court. The report of the scrutiny is filed and is part of the ruling of the Supreme Court. So if you say that you had 4,000 polling stations having anomalies, then I think it was true. These people were dealing with hot air. They are in an hallucinating cloud, thinking that they can take over power by threatening people, by bringing in allegations which cannot be substantiated. But that's said and done because, as we speak right now, whether you say elections were stolen or whether you say that you won the elections, that doesn't matter. The President of the Republic of Kenya right now is William Samoei Ruto, and he's there for 5 years. So Samuel should tell their supporters what is their definite plan to remove Ruto out of office through ways which are not constitutionally provided for in our constitution. I can tell you here today, even if you picketed for 500 days at Tandy, you cannot remove William Ruto from the office. Because the Constitution is very clear as to how you can remove a sitting president from office. Use the Constitution that we have in place. Second, the issue of them giving us ultimatum. I do not expect anything. I do not expect any news today at what they're going to do next. They started by saying they will march to State House today. Atandi is here drinking tea at Royal Media. People who are serious, people want to bring revolution. You would have woken up in the morning at Andy, I would have found you on Dennis Street on your way to State House. Now you are here with me, surely. drinking tea and trying to give us innuendos that are not going to do anything. You can have a sip, Atandi. But what I'm saying, yesterday you saw Atandi, Sifuna, and some few ODM leaders now shifting goals, saying that we want answers or we shall march to Treasury. Now they have shifted their focus from State House to Treasury. Next week you will hear them saying that we shall go to City Stadium. Slowly you will find them in Buruburu. It is simply hot air. They are managing their people. And let me tell you, Atandi, yes, I agree with you that you guys are not interested in a handshake. Atandi is not interested in a handshake. Sifuna and those other MPs who you saw yesterday, Akina Manzo, they are not interested in a handshake. They are very genuine people. But their leader, Raila Amolo Odinga, has got a parallel egoistic and egocentric interest.
But how do you know this? And but first,
I have worked. I have worked with him.
Trevor, don't allow Malala.
They have been talking about speculation. They have been talking about my leader. I have a right to talk about their leaders.
Let him finish.
No, let me finish.
Trevor, first of all, Trevor.
Just let him.
No, let me say this. Let me just say this, Trevor. Trevor, you know very well that this panel is not well constituted, because when you bring somebody who has been picked from the street and given a job, he will say anything, and he doesn't have facts. So I think in future we are actually debating with somebody who is actually a hireling. In future, don't allow us to debate with a hireling who is here to please.
Let him finish. He's a leader by his own standing. Let him finish.
Atandi, I represent 8 million hustlers. You represent like 20,000 people.
Where are they?
In one corner of the country.
Where are the 8,000 hustlers?
Now, they are still complaining about high cost of living and how we've not done anything. It should be known to Kenyans that the budget that we've been implementing since we got government is a budget which was made by Uhuru, Raila, Atandi, Manzo. This was a handshake budget, and therefore, if there were any deficiencies in terms of having a development agenda in that budget, then they're the ones who caused it. We should be blaming them. Right. This is our first time we are going to have our own budget starting from June. We only did a supplementary budget the other day, and they should give us time. And remember the problems that we are facing right now. You've seen. Yeah. If they were able to steal 15 billion in 26 minutes, how much did they steal in 4 years?
Again,
now that is a conversation we are going to.
Again, Trevor.
You know this political hypocrisy.
The word which Senator Malala is using about theft. You can't get away with it because, first of all, who has been prosecuted for that? Because for you to be referred as a thief, you must have been charged and prosecuted. Nobody has been prosecuted. On the other hand, their so-called deputy president Rigathi is a thief, because he was prosecuted and his assets, money is taken over by assets recovery.
They was cleared by the court.
He was not cleared. They have just used state power, to force their way into recovering the assets. So we know who are the thieves. So I think let's not use this forum, to malign names without facts.
Okay, Manzo.
Yeah. Yes. When you talk about 100 days, which they promised, and all the promises which the current government have given people, none of them have been fulfilled. When President Kibaki came to power, all of a sudden, the shilling gained against the dollar. Kenyans volunteered themselves to pay taxes. They queued at KRA to pay taxes, showing the goodwill from the people. Unfortunately, this time a new government has been formed. It has come in with threats. There's no clear path on how to fight corruption. If any monies have been lost in public coffers, the DCI and the office of DPP would be prosecuting people now. It's very clear, it's so-and-so's company is responsible, and the money is traceable. And if the right channel is followed, I'm sure it can be recovered through even asset recovery. What we have seen is cases be terminated, which have been pending and which had been approved by the same office that they are triable, but all of a sudden, serious cases, against people who have stolen from the state or allegedly stolen from the state have been withdrawn. So we really need to see a clear path on the fight of corruption, because most money in Kenya is lost through cartels, corruption, deals and that sort of thing. You can see like, Gachagwa's shilling 1.59 billion for office of his wife, We know the office of the First Lady, but you can see there are other officers coming up. They've just made a supplementary budget. So how are we going to improve the economy if, this is where we should be reducing the budget in the state office, actually, in the president's office, in the deputy president's office. That's why there's a huge budget which is not used for development. So I believe we need to really get our act together, and Kenyans have a right to talk about it. Kenyans have a right to criticize the current government so that they can improve. That's the work of the opposition.
All right.
So we really want to critique this government and tell them they came in a banner of forgiveness and that they will not do unto others also done to them. What do we see with Matiang'i? Frivolous charges, which even the DPP now is unable to decide whether they are chargeable or not, because they look so trivial. And then, you ransack his house, you're looking for information which is not available. I want to believe that Mr. Matiang'i is a very civil man. If they summon him, you give him all the information. You don't have to go and break his house. Really, so, and that's really an act against the Abagusi community.
Okay.
They are very offended by what is happening to a man who served this country in a very serious position and who has very critical information which can be used to make the country better. This is a person who was handling the security of the country. There's a lot of trouble in the north. They still have not solved it. While the army is there and all the policemen, people are still dying. A doctor loses his life. Something is not right with this government. They must get the act right. And I've asked the members of parliament from the north, why is this persisting? They said, first of all, we isolated the north. We did not take them into the army. We did not take them into police. So they have their own system of survival. And then you send the army there, or people from places which is not hardy. And they don't even know how to operate there. And now you have all the ammunition there. It's not helping Kenyans. Something is not right. Something has to be made right in this country.
All right, I'll take a quick break.
Let me just say something, Trevor. Trevor, we've just passed supplementary budget.
Yeah.
And I happen to sit in the budget committee. Chair, Trevor, we were promised, Ruto promised that they are going to cut the budget by 300 billion shillings. What happened and what we have passed is that the budget has actually gone up. And what he has done is to cut development expenditure, remove development items which were put in the budget by the previous regime, and use the money in the recurrent estimates. For instance, right now, the budget for State House, Uhuru left it at 4.4 billion. That budget has gone up to 9 billion in the supplementary estimates. Expenditures such as this ones which the media has captured that were used to buy vehicles and to be used in the office, Mr. Gachagwa's office. These are expenditures which were not even in the budget in the first place. So there's nothing these guys are telling us about if they have any idea about lowering the cost of living, because the way they have done their budgets, this is a very extravagant budget just for state officers, for the presidency, the kind of things they do, traveling. The president has gone to how many countries since he usurped power. He's traveled everywhere. But whenever he travels, he's just actually going to lounge. There's nothing he's doing there. There's nothing he's bringing. I think he's traveling to negotiate further loans. The loans he promised that Kenya would not be running on debt. This guy is negotiating loans worth around 80 billion, which he has already negotiated. So I think I want to tell Kenyans that these guys have no plan. There's nothing really going on. What's going on is that people like my friend Malala are being brought on board to try to defend without facts, so that this government looks clean, But really, there's nothing going on. I want to ask Malala, when are you harvesting those the maize that was planted because using fertilizer subsidy? When are you harvesting? Because we want cheap food. When are you harvesting? Secondly, you have said the other year that the price of unga has come down to 180. Is it 185?
Yes.
Can you show me one shop where that unga is being sold, so that I can ask my constituents to go and buy from there.
Okay. Let's take a quick break. We're back with more in just a bit. There's still a few more issues that we need to talk about and get Malala to respond to the merging of UDA parties as well. Then I didn't coerce Nyakango to approve 15 billion payment, says the attorney. That is a conversation we're also having right after the break. Keep your views coming at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. See you in a bit.